Opening credits. Ava and Carol Detective Agency, The Haunted Mansion. Written by Thomas Lockhaven, with Emily Chase. Edited by Dave Aretha. Narrated by Amy Johnson. The girls sat down on the steps, watching the endless stream of traffic. Every time they thought they were about to have a huge breakthrough in the case, something stopped them in their tracks.
"We're still no closer to solving this case than we were 2 days ago," said Carol.
"I know. We've been stumped before. I don't even know what to do next," said Ava.
"I would suggest getting out of the cold," said a sing-song voice.
The girls' heads spun around. It was Gladys, the museum's concierge.
"Gladys!"
yelled Ava. She jumped up, wrapping her arms around the petite, silver-haired woman.
"Hi, Gladys,"
beamed Carol, giving her a big hug.
Come inside. You'll catch your death out here,"
she fussed, her brilliant gray-blue eyes sparkling just as brightly as ever. Gladys worked the front desk at the museum. She had helped the girls solve the mysterious theft of the famous Ramesses diamonds and had become a great friend.
"So,"
said Gladys, smiling,
"what mischief are you two up to?"
"We're trying to solve another mystery," said Ava. "The bank and the jewelry store robberies."
"Oh, yes. I've been following that story in the news. Horrible. And right at the holidays."
"It is terrible,"
said Carol, nodding in agreement.
"How's your investigation going? Any spicy tidbits?"
"Well, it's kind of hit a roadblock," said Carol. "I thought for sure I was onto something. But according to a map that we got from the Public Works building, I was wrong."
Gladys tilted her head.
"How so?"
Carol turned back to Ava.
"Can you grab the map out of my backpack and show Gladys?"
"Sure,"
smiled Ava. She pulled the map out, handing it to Carol.
"Why not spread it out on the desk, dear? That way I can see it a little more clearly."
"Good idea,"
agreed Carol, as she smoothed it out across the surface of the help desk. Gladys swiveled a desk lamp over the picture.
"See what I mean?"
asked Carol, pointing to the map.
"The tunnel system runs beneath the museum, but on this map, it doesn't."
Gladys studied the map intently.
"Well, this isn't right. This isn't right at all. Where did you say you got this?"
"It's the official map from the Public Works building,"
said Carol. Gladys looked at the map and then at Carol.
"1 second,"
said Gladys, holding up her finger. She fished around in her desk drawer for a moment and then pulled out a gargantuan magnifying glass.
"Ah, perfect,"
said Gladys, holding it up to her eye.
"Whoa,"
whispered Ava.
"Your eye is huge."
"Yes,"
laughed Gladys.
"Wait until you're 80. There are all kinds of little surprises."
"Okay," continued Gladys, leaning in.
"Yes, the signature beneath the seal. It says Wilbur Jones."
"Is that bad?" asked Ava.
"Not bad. It's just that Wilbur Jones died in 1842, and the map is dated 1846.
"Who was Wilbur Jones?"
asked Carol.
"He was the head of the town council. His signature is on many of the maps and prints here."
"That's why we're here. Not because of the signature, but we want to compare this map with the one upstairs."
"Let's do it,"
replied Gladys excitedly. She snatched the photo off the desk and began walking briskly toward the stairs.
"Well,
Don't just stand there like a couple of statues, she said over her shoulder. Come on.
The girls followed Gladys up the winding staircase and down the hall to the History of Livingston exhibit. Gladys flicked on the lights. The walls were filled with fascinating black and white photos displaying an illustrative timeline of the history of Livingston. It was fascinating to see historical landmarks that were built 200 years ago still being used today. However, Carol only had one thing in mind, and that was the massive photo of Livingston taken in the 1860s by an aerial blimp. And that picture just happened to hang at the very back of the exhibit. Beneath it was an amazing illustration of the intricate tunnel system that serpentined beneath the town. Carol's heart began to race. She had already spotted it. It was as clear as day. The tunnel system ran directly beneath the bank and the jewelry store.
"Look, Ava!"
Carol cried out.
"The tunnel! It passes directly beneath the bank
And the jewelry store,"
said Ava excitedly. Gladys stretched out the map Carol had brought her beneath the picture. The tunnel systems were remarkably different from each other.
"Who gave you this map?"
asked Gladys.
"A man who works at the Public Works building. Harold—"
"Harvey,"
interrupted Ava.
"Harvey Cooper."
"That's right,"
nodded Carol.
Frowned Gladys. "I don't know anyone named Harvey, but I do know for certain that this is not the original document. It's a fake."
"So Harvey duped us?"
asked Carol angrily.
"Someone did," nodded Gladys. "Not necessarily Harvey. He may have been fooled as well." "I don't know," said Ava. "He seemed to know a lot about the map, remember? He knew the location of every landmark."
"Why would he go to the trouble of creating a fake map?"
mused Carol.
"I think you know the answer to that," said Gladys.
"Gladys,"
said Carol, pointing to the photo.
"this narrow road is Mall Street, but I don't see Whitmore Street."
"This is Whitmore Street right here,"
replied Gladys, tapping the map.
"And this is the location of the old butcher house."
"But it says morgue,"
said Carol, confused.
"Well, actually, it was a hospital and a morgue. During the Revolutionary War, Samuel Butcher used the top floor as a makeshift hospital, the first floor to perform his surgeries, and the bottom floor as a morgue." "Eesh, no wonder there are so many scary stories about that house," said Ava. "What's scary is Mr. Butcher never had any type of medical training. Ironically, Samuel Butcher was actually—"
"A butcher,"
said Carol, finishing her sentence.
"That's right,"
agreed Gladys.
"The stories that I've read will give you nightmares. Many said that Samuel lived up to his last name."
She paused, letting this sink in.
"When Samuel died, his children renovated the house and tried to put the past behind them. But many people in the town, well, they never forgot about Samuel's atrocities. So a long time ago, in the middle of the night, the Butchers simply disappeared, leaving everything behind." "That is officially creepy and sad," whispered Ava. Yes, it is," agreed Gladys.
"Carol, I'm going to need that nightlight back," said Ava.
"Gladys,"
said Carol, staring at the tunnel system.
"it looks like the tunnel system extended all the way out to the butcher house."
"Yes, it did. Actually, it was one of the first sections of the tunnel built in 1775. If you follow it with your finger, you can see that it leads to the old church. Many of the graves that you see behind that church are filled with patients from the butcher house."
"Last question, I promise," said Carol. "It looks like there's a small section of tunnel that leads from the butcher house to Crispin Pond?"
"Ah, yes, Crispin Pond. That was a small man-made reservoir. At one time, a huge portion of the Livingston community used it for water. They drained it about 50 years ago. It's conservation land now."
Carol remained silent for a moment, chewing on her bottom lip.
"Gladys, I think you may have just blown this case wide open."
Gladys's eyes sparkled, and her face filled with pride.
"Us girls gotta do what we gotta do to keep this town safe," she said, laughing.
Carol gave her a conspiratorial smile.
"Yes, ma'am, we do."
Gladys led the girls downstairs and back into the lobby.
"Thank you so much," said Carol,
giving Gladys a big hug.
"We promise to keep you in the loop."
"You better,"
smiled Gladys.
"You better."
It was 8 p.m. when they stepped out of the museum. In the distance, the deep tones of the church bell filled the night.
8 o'clock,
said Carol, breaking into a run.
"Come on."
If you're enjoying Thomas Lockhaven's audiobook content, please like and subscribe. It's the best way to help out the channel.